Okay, guys, and we're back with another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. I'm Seth from the Lonely Stoner podcast, and this episode is going to be talking about capitalism, right? Capitalism isn't just broken, it's reached its endgame. Now, I'm going to be referring to the West. When I talk about the West, I'm talking about the UK and US. And basically, what we're experiencing now and what we're witnessing in terms of capitalism and the economy isn't just a temporary crisis, it's a system gasping its last breaths. Capitalism is turning into a hellscape where the ultra-rich hoard resources like dragons guarding gold while the rest of us fight over crumbs. The middle class? Gone. Reduced to a myth boomers tell their grandkids. The game now is simple. Extract, exploit, repeat. And if you're not in the top 1%, you're just fuel for the machine. Buckle up, because this isn't going to be a dystopian novel or story. This is real life. This is your life. So let's start with the corpse. The middle class. In the UK, the top 10% own 63% of the wealth, while the bottom 50% scramble for the 0.5%. Think about that. Take that in what I've just said. Half the country shares less than a single percentage point of wealth. Meanwhile, the middle class has been hollowed out. Professions like doctors, teachers, and engineers were once the backbone of stability. They are now drowning in debt, stagnant wages, and gig economy side hustles. Your parents could buy a house on one income. You're paying 60% of your salary just to rent a mouldy flat. The traditional middle class path, degree, job, pension, is a relic. Today's middle class is a myth perpetuated by credit scores and a pret-a-manger loyalty card. Now, we need to understand capitalism's endgame isn't about growth, it's about extraction. Companies like Amazon and Uber have perfected the art of wage suppression. Did you know 42% of low-paid UK workers skip meals to afford rent? Meanwhile, CEOs rake in 300x their employees' salaries. This isn't inefficiency, it's design. The gig economy, zero-hour contracts, and AI surveillance aren't innovations, they're tools to squeeze every drop of profit from labour. And when workers demand more, automation, offshoring, union busting, that's the result of when you try and demand for more. The ruling class learned one thing from Marx: prevent solidarity at all costs. Now, here is the brutal twist. The ultra-rich aren't just hoarding money, they're monopolising resources. And you say, what's the difference? Now, money in and of itself isn't necessarily a resource, but housing, healthcare, education, they're real resources and they've all been priced into oblivion. In the UK, the average home costs 8 times the median income. Want a degree? That'll be 50 grand in debt. Need insulin? Good luck. Now, this scarcity isn't accidental, it's engineered. When BlackRock buys up entire neighbourhoods to turn into rentals, or private equity guts hospitals for profit, they're not just making money, they're creating dependency. You can't afford to live? Hey, here, take our high interest loan. Can't pay rent? Here's a payday advance. It's a debt trap disguised as a free market. But what is capitalism's dirty secret? And that secret is, it's out of ideas. The UK's economy is stuck in a stagnation spiral. Corporations hoard cash instead of investing, wages flatline and demand withers. Why build factories when you can buy back shares? Why raise wages when you can exploit gig workers? Even the 1% know the game's up. That's why they're buying bunkers in New Zealand and crypto escape hatches. They've turned the economy into a Ponzi scheme, where the only growth is in their offshore accounts. Meanwhile, the rest of us are left holding the bag. A bag of IOUs and climate disasters. So, you're probably asking, what's next? And what's next is something called neo-feudalism. Now, before this video, this was not something I was particularly, aware of. I couldn't give you an in-depth explanation of it, but I'll sum it up pretty quickly. Now, neo-feudalism is something that J.G. Ballard coined decades ago. He's talking about a world where the rich live in gated citadels, the middle class are the new proletariat, and the poor are disposable. Now, does that sound familiar? And the signs are everywhere. Hereditary wealth. The top 50 UK families hold more wealth than half the population. Privatised essentials. Water, energy, even roads sold off to the highest bidder. Digital serfdom. You don't own your apps, your data, or your attention, you rent them. This isn't capitalism anymore, it's corporate feudalism, where loyalty points replace land titles and algorithms enforce the hierarchy. Now you're probably asking, is there hope? Maybe. History shows systems collapse when they can't adapt. The 2008 crisis birthed Occupy and Bernie. The 2020s, strikes are surging. Rail workers, teachers, nurses are all demanding their fair share. But here's the truth. Capitalism won't end with a bang. It will whimper out, replaced by something uglier, unless we fight. The question isn't whether we are at the end, it's what comes next. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments what you think of it, what you think of capitalism, what you think of the current system, the current economy. I'd be curious to know what you guys think. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Something a bit different, but another episode of the Seth solo side quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.